Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Brandon here with Roadrunner Sports, and today I'm reviewing the brand new shoe from Hoka, the Clifton Edge. So it looks like they took the Clifton 7 and plopped it right on top of a brand new midsole. I'm really excited to tell you guys about it. There's a lot going on with this shoe, and where do we begin? We'll start with the performance of the shoe. Overall, it was fantastic. I recommend this for long runs, and I recommend this for runs with a lot of climbing in it. If you're gonna be going up hills, down hills, this is the shoe for you. So obviously, the big story here is the protruding wedge in the heel, and that's fantastic. But another thing I wanna make sure to note, so we come back to, is that it actually protrudes here in the toe, which I don't hear a lot of people talking about, but that's something that I think makes a big factor. And when I finished my run, I even checked the bottom of the shoe, and I see that I was rolling all the way to the top of the EVA rubberized outsole on the very edge of the toe, which protrudes further than the edge of the shoe, which is completely different than any other shoe that I've been in, as well as the heel. So I want to make sure we review that as well. So starting with the upper, so the engineered mesh is very breathable and it's awesome. Once it got to be about 7:30 a.m., it really picked up in the heat department and my foot was feeling fine. But in the forefoot, we actually have some TPU yarn, which just makes me feel a lot more secure about the longevity of the shoe, how long it's gonna last. It's not gonna have any deformities where my big toe is kind of like poking out further because it's continually jamming into the edge of it. I'm hoping the shoe stays good and uniform just throughout the length of the shoe, and I think it will. We also have the TPU yarn just kind of throughout the shoe to give you some extra stability. Speaking of stability, that is where this midsole comes into play. The midsole, not only does it have the protruding heel, the protruding toe, but it also protrudes on both sides. So the big reason for that is it's just gonna give you a wider base, it's gonna keep you more stable on your runs, and when you go inside the shoe, that's actually where the midsole technology kind of even elevates even more. The shoe continues to surprise me. So you're actually seated within the cushion just a little bit, and I guess you can't really see, but you got a couple millimeters where you're below the midsole on both sides, which is going to kind of keep your foot a little more stable in your gait, which is fantastic to pair along with the wide base of the midsole, which I really loved. So keeping with the upper of the shoe, the heel really surprised me. We have a nice durable heel counter, which is great. Hoka's known for that. And then we have not a pull tab, but kind of the flared pull thingy. It's great. This is kind of the trend with a lot of shoes. They're adding this. I think it looks cool. But the one thing I worried about was heel slippage. Like, what are we gonna do? And I was really worried about that in the beginning of my run. I was worried that my socks weren't high enough, that maybe I would have some chafing there, or I would have heel slippage. I just didn't know which way it was really gonna go. But luckily, on the inside of the shoe, Hoka has added some extra padding. So you have a really secure heel counter as well as extra padding in the heel, which is gonna give you that lockdown feel so you don't feel any slippage, and you're not gonna feel any chafing on the back of your Achilles, which in the beginning of my run, I was really paying attention to. I was like, okay, like it's gonna happen, it's gonna slip, something's gonna happen. But by mile 7, I was toning down my run, and I realized, like, oh my goodness, like that wasn't an issue at all. So A+ on the heel. I think it was a fantastic design and it feels great. For the tongue as well, it is one of those materials that is really thin and has kind of a rougher edge. So I was also afraid that it was going to be rubbing against my foot. Once again, I was like, man, are my socks not high enough for this run? Do I need to change them? But I had the shoes on and I was like, you know what? We're rolling the dice with this one. Here we go. And happy to report that there was no abrasion or rubbing on the front of my ankle. So that turned out to be great. Total A+ on the upper. It felt fantastic. I felt stable. I feel like there's going to be a great longevity here in the toe box of the shoe. And speaking of overall fit on the top of the shoe, I ran last year in the Clifton 6, so that's the closest thing that I could compare this to. And I thought the Clifton 6 was a little bit narrow for me as someone with kind of like a not regular, but maybe closer to the wide side. So I was a little afraid that this was going to be a narrow shoe for me, but I'm happy to report that it is not narrow. It just kind of fit great, and I think that has to do with just the overall stability factor in this shoe, where it's a little bit wider base, so the upper widened up just a little bit. So I'm really glad that I don't have to go wide on this. When the Clifton 7 comes in, that worry will come back, and I'll let you know if I have to go wide in that, because I was planning on going wide in the Clifton 7 this year, so we'll see. All right, let's get into it. The midsole, what you guys all came for. The upper was fantastic, a lot of great surprises there, but in the midsole, we can start with, first of all, it's dual density. So this whole grayish, greenish, tealish layer, that is the Hoka foam that you know and love. It's fantastic, it's soft, it's springy, it's cushy, it's awesome. And it's gonna last a long time. So that's fantastic. But these other two are a little bit more dense. So this is not as soft of a ride as, say, your Cliftons or your Bondis. This is a little bit firmer, but that's with a purpose. And that's why they have these here. It gives you extra stability, it gives you extra durability. And on the outsole, they've kind of rubberized the EVA foam. So that's gonna give you just that ground contact and make sure that you have a lot of durability there. As you can see down here, I'm already starting to kind of chafe off or rub off the rubberized outsole, so you know it's gonna last a long time. I know for a fact this type of foam is really responsive and it lasts a while, so I'm not too worried about that. But overall grip, I guess in your later miles, in terms of later mileage in the shoe, the lifetime of the shoe, you might tend to see that as a factor, but for now it feels fantastic. And if you're rotating your shoes, the shoe is gonna last you a long time anyways, so I wouldn't even worry about that. So protruding heel. Okay, so when you're on, I said this is good for long runs and good for hills. And the reason for that is because on your long runs, you tend to fatigue. If you're trying to stay within a certain heart rate, you're gonna start running slower. And when you start running slower, you're gonna get closer and closer to that heel. So the heel is great. You're feeling a lot of that, just a more natural gait. It has an early stage meta rocker in the shoe. So essentially, it's just gonna kind of rock your foot forward and help you with that propulsion. So when you're striking on the heel, as you're slowing down, as you're keeping your heart rate steady and you're not pushing yourself a ton, that heel is going to really help you out and help rock you forward with that early stage meta rocker. And then hills, because as you're bombing down hills or as you're slowing down going down hills because you don't want to run straight into the traffic, or for whatever reason, we all tend to strike on our heels when we're going downhill. So this really helped just provide a good bit of cushion and help your foot really, instead of hitting more like a firm, like a stopping point when your heel hits it, it's really gonna help rock your foot down the hill. So it's gonna help you continue to take speed. You're not gonna have to use as much effort to slow down, and you're really just gonna be rocking through it. And as you're rocking through it, I'm gonna take it to the toe. So this is what really surprised me, because this is what I was expecting. This is what I knew coming into it, but I didn't expect the toe to be such a factor. So as you're rocking forward with that early stage meta rocker, say it is pretty aggressive, you roll all the way to the end of it, which is a couple millimeters out from the edge of the foot. So you're really rolling forward, which is I think why they put the TPU yarn there, for that extra durability. So you're on basically the end of your foot, and you're continuing to just roll, and it increases your stride. So not your stride length, but it increases the length of your gait, I should say. So it makes you run more efficiently. So I think that's something that not a lot of people are talking about, and that's something that definitely needs to be called out in the shoe, that this is gonna help your gait go more efficiently, and that way it's gonna help you stay out on the road longer, stay injury-free because of the wide base, and overall just great for long runs, because like I said, we all tend to slow down a little bit, and if you don't, you're a savage, so get after it. But definitely check the shoe out. I mean, it's a fantastic shoe. I really love it. I've ran in it 2 times so far. I just got it yesterday, so right when I got it from UPS, I was like super excited. I was like, let's go, and I put run on in the shoe. And then this morning I put in some longer miles, and I'm really excited to get after it with some more miles this weekend. I'm gonna run this shoe till through the next week till the next one comes in, and I'm super excited. And if you're a Roadrunner Sports VIP, make sure to check this shoe out. I know it's really intimidating. You don't know if this is the right shoe for you. There's a lot going on here. But if you're a VIP, luckily you have 90 days to test run the shoe. Try it out. If you don't love it, send it back to us and we'll get you a better shoe that fits your needs. And you get free shipping online. So make sure to check this shoe out. The Hoka One One Clifton Edge, because they are taking design to the edge on this shoe. Anyways, that was corny, whatever. I'm gonna go run some more. You guys make sure to get out there, get on your runs, and I'll see you on the road.